There was a moment, and I remember it clearly, when a therapist sat across from us and said, "We recommend ABA therapy for your son." And I remember nodding like I understood, like I knew what that meant, what it would look like, what it would feel like for him. I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. And maybe you're sitting somewhere right now, having just heard those same words. Or maybe you're already in it and something feels off, but you can't quite name it. Either way, stay with me. Because this one took us a long time to figure out, and I really wish someone had talked to us about it before we started. When your child receives an autism diagnosis, the recommendations come fast. Occupational therapy, speech therapy, and almost always ABA, applied behavior analysis. It's one of the most widely prescribed interventions for autistic children, and it has decades of research behind it. So, when it was recommended for our son, we did what any parent would do. We trusted the professionals, we signed the paperwork, we drove him there 3 times a week and waited in the parking lot. But over time, something started to feel wrong. He was coming home exhausted, not just physically, something else. He was more withdrawn, more rigid, and he had started having more meltdowns, not fewer. We started asking questions, and when we did, we discovered something important. A BA is not one thing. It's a broad category of interventions that can look radically different depending on the provider, the philosophy, the techniques, and how much the child's experience is actually centered in the process. We're not here to tell you ABA is good or bad. We're here to tell you what we learned the hard way, so you don't have to. If this is the kind of honest, parent-to-parent conversation you've been looking for, please subscribe to our channel at youtube.com/@neuroparenting-b for IPA. We share what we actually lived through, not a textbook version of it. Hit subscribe now, and let's keep going. So, let's start at the beginning. What actually is ABA therapy? ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. It's a therapeutic approach rooted in behavioral science. The idea that behaviors are learned, and that by systematically rewarding desired behaviors and discouraging others, you can shape how a person acts over time. In the context of autism, it's typically used to help children develop communication skills, reduce behaviors considered harmful or disruptive, and build independence in daily tasks like getting dressed, eating, or following routines. Historically, ABA has a complicated story. Early forms of the therapy, developed in the 1960s, were intensive, rigid, and at times deeply coercive. Thankfully, the field has evolved significantly. Modern ABA, when done well, is naturalistic, child-led, play-based, and built around the child's own interests and communication style. But, and this is the part nobody warns you about, not every provider practices modern ABA. Some are still using techniques that feel more like drilling and compliance training than actual support. Here's why it gets prescribed so often. It has the most robust evidence base of any autism intervention. Insurance companies and healthcare systems love it for that reason. But evidence-based doesn't automatically mean it's the right fit for every child, in every form, at every age. And that nuance rarely gets explained to parents in the initial consultation. For our son, the early program he was placed in was what I'd now describe as compliance-heavy. A lot of it was, sit here, do this, repeat this, good job, do it again. Very structured, very adult-directed, and while he made some measurable gains on paper, he was miserable. He started masking, suppressing his natural responses to fit what the therapist expected of him. And masking, as many autistic adults will tell you, is exhausting and harmful over time. When we finally understood what masking was, that he wasn't getting better, he was getting better at hiding, we knew something had to change. So, what did we do? We started asking different questions. Not just, is my son making progress? But what kind of progress? And at what cost? We requested more detailed session notes. We asked to observe sessions directly. We sought a second opinion from a developmental pediatrician who had a more neurodiversity-affirming perspective. And we ultimately switched providers to a team that practiced what's called naturalistic developmental behavioral intervention, or NDBI. Same umbrella as ABA in terms of behavioral foundations, but entirely different in practice. The difference was immediate and visible. He started going to therapy without resistance. He laughed during sessions. He began initiating communication in ways he never had before. The goals shifted from reduce this behavior to help him communicate what he needs so the behavior isn't necessary. That shift, understanding the why behind a behavior instead of just targeting the behavior itself, changed everything for us. Now, I want to give you 5 practical things you can do if you're navigating ABA with your child. These are the things we wish someone had handed us on day 1. Tip 1. Ask to observe sessions and pay close attention to your child's body language. You have every right to observe therapy sessions. If a provider resists this, that's a red flag. When you do observe, don't just watch what your child is doing. Watch how they're doing it. Are they engaged? Are they smiling, even occasionally? Or do they look like they're enduring it? A child who is learning in a genuinely supportive environment will look different from a child who is just complying. Trust what you see. Tip 2. Learn the difference between compliance-based and assent-based ABA. These are terms that may not come up unless you ask for them. Compliance-based ABA focuses on getting the child to do what the therapist directs. Assent-based ABA, which is the more ethical, modern standard, requires that the child's ongoing willingness and comfort are continuously checked throughout the session. If your child signals distress, a good therapist will pause, adjust, or stop. Ask your provider directly, how do you handle assent? How do you know when my child wants to stop? Their answer will tell you a lot. Tip 3. Be skeptical of any program that focuses primarily on eliminating behaviors without addressing the underlying need. Autistic children stim, avoid certain situations, have meltdowns, and communicate in unconventional ways for reasons. They are communicating something: sensory overload, anxiety, confusion, a need for control in an unpredictable world. A good therapy program asks why. If your child hits their head when they're overwhelmed, the goal should be to reduce the overwhelm and give them better tools, not to train them to stop hitting their head while the overwhelm continues unchecked. Behavior is communication. Treat it that way. Tip 4. Get the goals in writing and make sure they reflect your child's quality of life, not just observable outputs. ABA programs produce a lot of data: graphs, percentages, goal targets. This can feel very scientific and reassuring. But ask yourself, what are these goals actually for? Is the goal to help my child navigate the world more comfortably? Or is the goal to make my child look more neurotypical? Those are not the same thing. Goals like maintains eye contact for 3 seconds or reduces hand flapping are about appearance. Goals like uses a visual schedule to manage transitions independently or communicates when he needs a break are about genuine well-being and function. Push for the latter. Tip 5. You are allowed to change providers, reduce hours, or stop entirely. This one took us the longest to internalize. We felt like we had to follow the recommendation, like stopping or changing was giving up, or going against medical advice, or somehow failing our son. None of that is true. You are the expert on your child. You see him every day. You know what he looks like when he's genuinely thriving versus when he's masking or shutting down. A BA is a tool. If the tool isn't working, or if the person using it isn't the right fit, you are allowed to make a different choice. A second opinion is not a betrayal of the first professional. It's a good parenting. We want to close this part by saying something that took us a long time to really believe. Our son does not need to be fixed. He needs to be understood. He needs support that builds on his strengths, respects his experience, and helps him navigate a world that was not designed with him in mind. The best therapists we've worked with understood that. They weren't trying to make him less autistic. They were trying to help him build a life that fits who he actually is. If you're in the middle of evaluating ABA for your child, or already in a program that feels wrong, we hope this helps you find the words for what you're experiencing. And we hope it gives you the confidence to ask harder questions, push for better answers, and trust your instincts. You know your child. Don't ever let anyone make you doubt that. If this video helped you, even a little, please subscribe to our channel at youtube.com/@neuroparenting-is4p. Every video we make is one parent talking to another. No jargon, no judgment, just honest experience. Subscribe, share it with a parent who needs it, and we'll see you in the next one.